the Witches of Eastwick, because he's just so clever.
Wow, what a great addition, Jimmy.
If you haven't figured it out by now, one of the greatest attributes George Miller has as a filmmaker is that the man is fucking insane. You go into his movies with a certain set of expectations, and he will deliver some of the most batshit ridiculous concepts and scenes any big budget filmmaker has ever attempted. A cute animated movie about a dancing penguin? It's about global warming and religious hypocrisy now. A cute movie about a pig going to a city? Here's some of the rawest dialogue and most tragically shot scenes that come from a dog and a bunch of monkeys getting caught by animal control. And then there's the Witches of Eastwick. I didn't really expect much out of this movie. I mean, from what I could gather, it was about these three ladies getting it on with Jack Nicholson. And I kind of assumed the witches thing was just a metaphor. Like, they weren't actually magical witches, people just called them that. Yeah, it turns out they are magical witches, and they inadvertently summon the man of all three of their collective dreams to town. And he's not like other guys. He respects women and makes that clear constantly. Yeah, so as you can imagine, this guy is full of shit, and things go wrong as time goes on. The plot is pretty simple. It's a feminist story about these three realizing they don't need or want this guy in their life. But what really makes this film as fucking nuts as it is the way these supernatural powers these four exhibit come into play. None of them are ever explained. They just happen. The four of them will be playing tennis, and suddenly the ball will just slow down, out of nowhere. A musical instrument will just catch on fire from being played too hard, and nobody reacts to it. Because it's a visual metaphor. I think? I honestly don't even know. The climax involves the three ladies making a sort of voodoo doll. And it's like, when did they learn how to do that? Did I miss that scene? I have no idea, and yet it just works for the bizarre, surrealist vibe the film is going for. I don't care how these powers work. I just want to see cool, freaky shit. And this movie delivers on that. The performances are all really strong. Susan Sarandon and Michelle Pfeiffer are great, while Cher really commands the scenes she's in. But with that said, yeah, it's the Jack Nicholson performance that completely steals the show here. It's kind of like Ryan Gosling Ken, in the sense that it's a feminist movie, where the problematic man character is ironically the highlight. His initial extreme confidence and inexplicable swagger in the first half, giving way to such a truly unforgettable, unhinged, maddening man-baby performance. He gives this monologue towards the end of the film that, no joke, might be one of the best comedic monologues I've ever seen in a movie. He just nails it. Speaking of the end of the movie, I have to admit, as ridiculous and corny and overblown as a lot of scenes in the first hour and a half of the movie are, I didn't really think it was peak George Miller looniness. I was having a great time with this film, but I kept thinking, yeah, this is good, but is it Babe Pig in the City levels of good? Then the climax happens, and I'm gonna be honest, this was one of the most gleefully insane things I've ever witnessed based on what I was expecting. I had a vision in my mind for what I wanted to happen, and I kept thinking, this isn't gonna happen, but wouldn't it be cool if it did? And then it f***ing did! I'm not gonna spoil what I'm talking about, I wouldn't dare, but oh my god, it was the perfect punctuation to one of the most fun and bonkers third acts I've seen in quite some time. What a picture. I highly recommend The Witches of Eastwick. It goes to some batshit insane levels that I wish more adult comedies weren't so afraid of reaching. It's a great time throughout, and even if the rest of the movie wasn't great, it's all worth it to see Jack Nicholson in his prime chewing the scenery in the way only he can.